Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a different perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-hosts, FP Santangelo Jr. and Russell Jackman. Not sure if Vern is going to join us today. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. Today's trivia theme is bobbing for baseballs. You'll get it when we start asking the first trivia question.
Let me guess. The first names have nothing to do with Bob.
There you go, smart man. That's. I tell you, that's what 6 years of high school will do for you. Yeah. All right. So some highlights that we'll talk about when we get back. Unfortunately, Bill Russell passed away, age 88. It's funny because I look at. When I was watching basketball when I was a kid, Will Chamberlain, he was my man, and I knew Russell was good, and he kept winning all the titles. But I just kept thinking that Chamberlain was better. He just didn't have the supporting staff. But I guess he won one championship?
Two.
Wilt?
Two.
Oh, Wilt won two of them. Okay. Yeah. And it looks like Vern Glenn is joining us here too. All right. We'll also talk a little bit about Deebo Samuel and Deshaun Watson and the big Soto trade, and see if there's any other notable MLB trades out there. Mr. Vern Glenn, how are you, my friend?
What's up, man?
What's up? Okay. Yeah, we're just recording the first little segment here.
Okay.
Seven of the 10 highest paid golfers joined the LIV Tour, so that's kind of interesting. Apparently, Greg Norman said that Tiger Woods turned down $700
to $800 million. Yeah.
Well, what can you say, huh? I mean, money is just. I guess his principals just said nope. He's got enough. What is he? A $1 billionaire, $2 billionaire?
Well, it's all about money, and when you're Tiger Woods and you drive the bus based on whatever you decide to do, you have that power.
Yeah, exactly. All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn with his coffee mug, and Russell Jackman on the phone.
Full house. Full house.
Full house.
Full strength.
Guys last week. Okay, so FP, start us off. Biggest sports story going on right now.
All right, well, the San Diego Padres, this just happened now for us, like 5 minutes before we went on air. But the Padres are getting Juan Soto, one of the best generational hitters in Major League Baseball. Could end up being one of the best hitters in baseball history. He's 23 years old. He's already finished in the top 3 in MVP a few times. He's won a batting title. He's a World Series champion. He's this, that. He's really, 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 really good.
So he's going to sell some tickets.
Exactly. Yeah. This is like basically you could trade for Barry Bonds, and he has been compared to Barry Bonds. If you look at some of his numbers, he's on a trajectory where he can hit as many home runs. Well, I shouldn't say as many home runs as Barry Bonds, but near as many home runs as Barry Bonds. He's really, really, really good, okay? So the Padres get Juan Soto. They get Josh Bell, who's an all-star caliber first baseman as well. And the package they had to give up, guys, it is ridiculous. So let me kind of walk you through here if you're not a baseball fan, okay? If you don't follow baseball that closely, I got you. They gave up 3 former first-round picks, okay? C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, pitcher. C.J. Abrams is a shortstop. Robert Hassel. They gave up James Wood, their number 3 prospect. They gave up Jarlin Susana, who's their number 14 prospect. And they gave up Eric Hosmer, okay, who's their first baseman, who they paid like $200+ million to get. So this is one of the greatest returns maybe in baseball history. But what's crazy, it's kind of equal because Juan Soto is really that good. I'm trying to think. This is like if Patrick Mahomes got traded to another team. This is like if Steph Curry or LeBron James in the middle of a season got traded to another team. This just does not happen at all.
There was some years back, there was some player traded, and I can't remember which sport it was, where it was like for 11 players.
Oh, that was
Herschel Walker?
That was Herschel Walker?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Well, this is like the face of baseball. We're talking about the only other person that maybe have a tick up on him because of the international aspect of Japan is Shohei Ohtani, right?
Right.
The only other person that would have probably a little bit more pop in a trade deadline would be if Ohtani got traded. And he was actually asked about it. There was an actual possibility. So that might be coming in the offseason or the future, which would be crazy. But, guys, this is like ground-shaking stuff. This is crazy. I think this is great for the Nationals. They needed to rebuild. They got their guys. Trust me. These are legitimate players. These are guys that play in the major leagues like that. And they have a long control over them. And the Padres get maybe one of the top 10 best hitters in Major League Baseball history. If you think about hundreds of years of baseball, that's how good this guy is. Yeah. So in the NL West, you have 4 potential Hall of Famers on the Dodgers. You have 2 potential Hall of Famers on the Padres with Fernando Tatis Jr. And Juan Soto.
Then you have the Giants.
Then you have the Giants and the Rockies and the Diamondbacks, who are just scrap heap right now. They're scrap heap. That's what they are.
My first reaction is, boy, if you're the Padres, hey, all your chips are right in the middle of the table, and you had better win. I mean, you better just take the ball and run with it, and not turn into the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, meaning that the Angels, they got 2 of the best players in the game in the lineup, and they can't win. So.
But San Diego has the advantage of youth and time, and right now they're drawing really, really well. Even before Soto, they've been drawing so well. So they've got, you say they have to win, but they also have right now a fan base that is super excited for them, and they have time to, figure out how to win and how to win with this combination. If they don't win this year, I think they're still going to have all their fans ready to go for them next year.
Yeah, because right now
they're already 12 games over 500. They're second in the wild card. They're going to make the playoffs this year, right? So they just added 2 elite bats and one of the best bats maybe of all time to their lineup. Oh, and Fernando Tatis Jr., their generational shortstop / outfielder, hasn't even played a game yet this season, and he's
he's been out.
As we speak right now, San Diego is 12 games behind the Dodgers. They have the 4th.
Well,
they're second in the wild card, so they're going to make.
Let's just assume it's the wild card, and they can just all you got to do is you're just trying to just get in the tournament, just get in there, and then you can run with it. Personally, I'm happy for the Padres because I like the manager. Bob Melvin's just one of my favorites. So I mean, he's got some power in that lineup. It'll be excited to see what they do.
He's got some toys to play with now. So that's one of the biggest trades probably you'll talk about forever. And what's really disappointing for here in the Bay Area for Giants fans specifically, it's coming off a 107-win season. Let's take the Giants aspect out of it, okay? Think about if like it's the New York Mets or if it was the Kansas City Royals or, I don't know, the Boston Red Sox, anything, right? And you come off a 107-win season. And now you're below 500 the next year, and now everybody in your division is getting Hall of Fame talent.
Yeah.
This is crazy. This is something that you'll tell your kids about. When Juan Soto is hitting home runs in 10 years for the Padres, you're going to be like, oh, I remember that 107-year season.
Yeah.
Then the worst thing ever happened. The division rival got one of the best hitters of all time.
Not that you want to really kind of give up, but if you're for anxiety and the Giants, first of all, your only shot is that 3rd wild card spot. Now, do you legitimately stack them and just go for that spot, or maybe come on this day that we're taping it, you see him dealing some players?
I think this is an interesting conversation we can have, guys. And I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this. Tell me if you're wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, but there's certain markets in all of sports, okay, I'm not just saying just with baseball, that are just not seller markets. Sure. You do not sell in New York. You do not sell in LA. You do not sell in Boston, right? Unless it's really, really dire. Like I can't remember when there was a full, complete fire sale of a team in New York, Boston, San Francisco, LA. I'm probably missing a few other teams like the Cardinals in St. Louis. Those teams just don't.
They normally do not sell.
The Braves, they just do not fire sell because these organizations have pride. These ownership groups have pride, right? Yeah. And I'm saying in all sports, right? maybe there's some outliers, right? Maybe there's an NBA team that sold, and maybe there's a football team that sold once in a while. But if you look at it, the big markets, they just do not sell. So this is very interesting if the Giants do sell. I mean, they have Carlos Rodon, who's basically going to leave after this year, and Jack Peterson, who's going to leave after this year. Those are easy prospects for them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in this market, you don't really sell. I mean, the Oakland A's do, but that's a whole different outlier situation, right? You just don't sell in this market. And what's really interesting, guys, again, sorry I'm talking so much. I just had coffee.
All right.
Is you have the Golden State Warriors that spend all this money, right? They're known for breaking the bank to get the top talent. You have the 49ers, who we'll talk about in a second, extend Deebo Samuel, spend all this money trying to not break the cap. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And you have the Giants now, who don't spend money, don't do anything. It's not going to be very successful in this market, I don't think.
All right, hey guys, let's go to our first commercial break here. The trivia question, bobbing for baseballs, all right? I'm going to start this off as a question. I was a rookie in 1978, but notoriety came quick. Weird way to say it. Okay. Although having only a 7-4 record, I struck out, this is an easy one. I struck out Reggie Jackson with the bases loaded in the 1978 World Series. After leaving the Dodgers after the 1987 season, I won the American Cy Young for the A's in 1990. I retired in 1995. Who am I? That's our trivia question. All right?
Sure.
All right, so rookie in 1978, struck out Reggie Jackson with the bases loaded in 78. After leaving the Dodgers in 87, won the American Cy Young for the A's in 1990 and retired in 1994. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman here. First trivia question of bombing for baseballs. Who was the rookie in 1978, having only a 7-4 record, but struck out Reggie Jackson with the bases loaded in the 1978 World Series, and after leaving the Dodgers after the 1987 season, won the American Cy Young for the A's in 1990, and retired in 1994? Who was that?
Bob Welch.
Bob Welch. Very good.
There you go, Vern.
Yeah, we're going to start with an easy one there. Okay. Actually, the next two, whatever. Okay. FP, you were looking online, and there's some potential glitch in the Soto trade.
So, yeah, this is what's fun, guys. We're actually experiencing the Soto trade live right now. I know you're going to hear this later in the week, and you're going to be like, these guys are knuckleheads. But this is cool because we're experiencing all the emotions live together. Yeah. But currently there's a little snag right now. Eric Hosmer's part of the deal, right? He's a Padres first baseman. He's going to the Nationals. He has a no-trade clause. He signed a big contract, and one of the teams on his no-trade clause is the Nationals. So if he vetoes it, he's like, nah, I don't feel like it.
Okay, so hold on a second.
The thing goes up in flames.
Okay, so I got a question. For management, they got to know that he had a no-trade clause. Why was he even put on to the block unless they talked to him ahead of time to say, hey, by the way, we'd like to do this. We need you to go ahead. Or is Hosmer going to say, well, if you sweeten the pot a little bit, I'm willing to go.
I think that's more the case.
I think that I don't know how legal that is, right? I don't know how legal that is, but shadier things have happened in Major League Baseball.
I don't know if it's shady. So. It's like, a guy says, listen, I really don't want to go to the Nationals for whatever reason. And it's like, but if you pay me extra, it's not that shady.
I don't think that's legal though. I don't think
really?
You can do that out of your contract. I don't think they could just hand you money under the table. It could happen, right? Like I don't know.
As the lawyer here,
I'm sure it does happen.
I want to hear it.
Russ, go ahead.
From what I have to say is that there's a likelihood that in the no trade clause there is some kind of a buyout provision that says that, if you really don't want to go there, but because for a lot of times too, the teams that you
go ahead, Russ, get out there
5 years ago, the teams that you put on the no trade clause, let's say that was 4 or 5 years ago, those teams could be radically different in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And so there probably is some kind of a buyout provision that says that, if his contract is bought out or if he's offered a certain amount of money, he could change his mind and decide to go to a different club.
Yeah. But you know what, though? If I'm management, I'm going to get those gears in ahead. I'm going to put those gears
before
in
you
motion.
Announce a trade.
Yeah, I'm not going to wait until, oh my gosh, this guy can derail it, and then he's got you over a barrel, right? So that
guys, it says here that if this move goes through, the Padres jump from 20-1 to 11-1 to win the World Series.
Wow.
That's something.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, they bolstered their bullpen. They did the right things. They got Josh Hader, one of the best closers from the Brewers the other day. They're trying. So we got a real big problem in professional sports, guys, where we got about 10 teams trying in every league and everybody else just is collecting checks. It's really crazy. And one of the most egregious things I think that's happened in a very long time is the Baltimore Orioles, what they did today. The Baltimore Orioles are 2 games out of the wild card. It's going to be the first time they make the playoffs in how many years? Their fan base
Probably
is going
since I worked there.
Yeah, they're overachieving. It's great. They got all these young prospects coming up. They're set to be good for a long time already. Well, they traded their all-star closer, and they traded one of their staples, the heart and soul of their franchise right now, in Trey Mancini, the first baseman that beat cancer famously during his career. And they traded him off to Houston. So it completely sucks the life out of that organization. It completely sucks the life out of that clubhouse. And now they're not competing. They're only 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. Like, what are we doing here in professional sports? How can you be a sports fan when things like that are happening?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I feel so bad for that fan base in that town where I used to, that I called home, where I worked before I came out to the Bay Area. I mean, that's just a super, super proud town that just loves their Orioles. And so to be slapped in the face like that,
like how many times have we seen stuff like this in sports recently? It's all about it's not about winning anymore, right? Yeah. And maybe I'm just naive, maybe I'm growing up. It's always been about the almighty dollar, but now it's really about the almighty dollar. It's about the quick change, right? About getting the money as fast as possible. It's not about the long-term arc anymore, right? It's just about getting the money as fast as possible and a quick cash grab. And it seems to me that they got some good prospects from Trey Mancini, sure. But if you have a chance, right, and you catch lightning in a bottle during the playoffs, how many times have we seen that where a wild card team goes and wins the World Series? As recently as 2019 with the Washington Nationals. Yeah. They were a buzzsaw, right? And, of course, the 2010 team, right, got in at the last day of the year, the playoffs, ended up winning. If you look at the roster, you're like, how did that team win a World Series? It happens in baseball like that. So, I don't know.
I think that Edward, you'll be behind me when I say this. The ones making those decisions and the ones with the money, they're the ones that are reading the Wall Street Journal. The rest of us schmoes, we're grabbing the sports page first.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder, how many times they're talking to their bankers, and with recessions hanging over the head, and who knows?
Vern, I always grab the comic section first.
I'll tell you, me too. Yeah, honestly, me too. It's the only thing that's not, that doesn't give you depression for the most part.
Exactly. You can start. That's what I always told my dad. I always say, because he always read the front page, and I always, I always grabbed the comics, and he said, why you're always grabbing the comics? Is like, because I can wait to hear the bad news, until after I've had a laugh first.
Yeah, so enjoy a little Calvin and Hobbes first.
Yes, exactly.
Far Side.
I was going to say Far Side, but I haven't seen that. Doesn't come in the local paper anymore. But it's kind of interesting. You wonder how. It's funny. I was thinking about the show Winning Time, right? The series, right? The miniseries.
Yeah.
And getting rid of the Lakers when the divorce. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we just don't know about that are putting financial pressures on the owners, executives, et cetera, where, you look and say, why in the world would they be doing this? Well, we don't know what's going on behind, I think about San Diego, and it's like maybe they're trying to make up for the loss in the World Series when Tony Gwynn didn't get his World Series ring against the Yankees. It's like they've been, I don't want to say a Cinderella team because they just can't get there,
Yeah. Plus, us sports guys, we live in the now.
Yeah.
Those guys with the money, they're getting all kinds of reports. What's going to happen next week or a month from now, or whatever. What's the financial landscape going to be moving forward?
Yeah.
Weeks ahead of time. But we live in the now. We're fans.
I mean, here's an example. Like, what would happen if the ownership of the Padres, like 6 months from now, says, okay, we're going to sell the team, and now you got Soto on the team. I mean, how much did that elevate the value of your franchise?
So I've heard otherwise, actually, Edward. So in the case of the Nationals, right, the Lerner family, one of the richest families in Major League Baseball and in sports, actually, with how much property they own in D.C. They own like something like 60% of the property. It's insane.
Well,
in an old town like D.C., that's crazy. But anyways, they are trying to sell off everything so that way they can give a blank slate to the next owner, and it looks a lot better like that. And the value is already through the roof, right? There's never been a sports franchise to ever devalue in the major three sports leagues. So they're going to be walking away laughing in the blank no matter what. But it looks more attractive that, hey, I can leave my stamp on this team right away. I could come in like Steve Cohen and be like, no, we're getting Scherzer, we're getting this guy, we're getting this guy, we're getting this guy. We're in the playoffs this year. I don't care. I'm spending all my money because I want to have fun. That's why I got into sports. Whereas if you're committed to these contracts, you're like, dang, I didn't want that guy, but the last ownership did it.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine being the manager and, your job's always kind of in the balance if you're not winning. And if suddenly the owners are not supporting you with getting you the talent, I mean, that's, I can just imagine like the A's are always in that situation.
Well, in my experience, from what I've heard, talking to GMs in baseball, it's like they are brilliant, right? They're there for a reason, and they have brilliant ideas that we're all talking about, right? That we're like, okay, yeah, this is a no-brainer. They should be going for this guy. They should sign this guy.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, ownership is not approving it. Like I got my hands tied, FP. I can't do anything about it. The owners, they don't really watch baseball every day. They don't get it. They think this guy's going to sell more jerseys, so we're going to get this guy instead of that guy. And then you're like, what? You're like, dude, they're not going to defer to the guy that like spent his life in baseball? No, it's my team. I can do what I want.
Oh,
interesting. Yeah. But then there's smart owners that like the Dodgers ownership group and the Yankees that defer to the baseball people, which is
good point. Hey, we're going to get to our next commercial break here. We're talking bobbing for baseballs. My nickname was Rabid Robert, as I played my entire 18-season career with the Cleveland Indians. I was the top 10 MVP voting in 6 seasons. In 1940, I won the Triple Crown. I knew I said it. As soon as I said 1940, Russ was going to let out a big sigh. In 1940, I won the Triple Crown, but still finished second in the MVP to Hank Greenberg of the Tigers. 6 times I led the league in wins. I was a 1962 Hall of Fame inductee. Who am I? That is our trivia question. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101 one more time. Edward Brown, your host, along with FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman. Which, by the way, the reason I keep repeating that is because back in 2010, when on my business show, I'm kind of brand new into radio, and I just would say, okay, we're back, blah, 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 right? Finally, some listener wrote in and was very upset because she didn't know who we were because I forgot. I just never said who we were. I just said, and we're back. Anyway, here's our second trivia question. Nickname, talking bobbing for baseballs. Nickname was Rabid Robert. Played 18 seasons with his entire 18 seasons with the Cleveland Indians. Top 10 MVP voting 6 times. 1940 won the Triple Crown, but still finished second in the MVP to Hank Greenberg of the Tigers. 6 times led the league in wins. 1962 Hall of Fame inductee. Who are we talking about?
Bob Feller?
Yeah, Bob Feller. Yeah. And
I once faced Bob Feller in a game in San Jose. It was one of those. It was Bob Feller night, and he came out to pitch, and so they lined up a bunch of local celebs.
Yeah.
And I was one of them, and He kind of brushed me, he kind of brushed me inside.
How old was he?
I dropped the bat, kind of staring at him.
Yeah.
Mock running toward me. No, this was I don't know how old Bob Feller is. He had to have been in his 60s.
And I bet he's still throwing heat.
But he could do funny things with the ball. These guys, I mean, they can't, the velo's gone and
Sure.
but there's still they can still do some kind of movement, just
Look at Bill Spaceman Lee. Old. What did he? 65 years old and technically won a professional baseball game.
Hey, even Bill Lasky, the former Giant. He's from Cambridge. He can get on the mound and do a little something if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's an old base about 15 years ago.
Okay.
Speaking of Bills, we haven't talked about the passing
of Bill Russell. Yeah.
Yes.
88 years old.
Guys, would you say that of all the athletes that have ever come from the city of San Francisco, that Bill Russell was the greatest?
Yes. As far as like home.
Yeah, as accomplishments.
Let's put it this way. He's the greatest winner in sports.
Yeah.
Drop the mic.
Yeah, exactly. What, 11
NBA championships in a 13-year career, including 8 in a row, and you won 2 more as a player coach.
Yeah, and also as coach in college, playing for the Dons, didn't they win?
Yes.
Back-to-back national championships, 55 straight wins in a row for the Dons.
And they talked about his Olympic wins too, and his Olympic wins.
Yeah, and an Olympic gold, and which brings up, which sadly, the one footnote in this one is that he never reconciled with the USF Dons after, number one, left the school to play for his country to win the gold medal, comes back to finish out his degree in the summer, and they go, sorry, Bill, you're going to have to pay for it because your scholarship has run out.
Wow.
He's like, really? I mean, come on. I left the school to win the gold medal. Really? You're going to make me pay? Now, he eventually did, but he was bitter. He was a man of principle. He was bitter about that. He was also bitter because the USF head coach, I believe it was Phil Wolpert, did not back him for Conference Player of the Year. It went to a guy from Santa Clara, but he just always remembered that, and he was always cool, to put it nicely, toward that university all the way to the end.
Do you think it was a race thing?
To school, and just he just stuck to his guns, and he died peacefully in his sleep on Mercer Island outside of Seattle, where he had called home for the last 50 years.
Wow. Do you think it was a race thing with his previous coach, with the Santa Clara, not voting for him?
No, because he had Casey Jones on the team. I mean, there were other black ball players on the team, but he was clearly the best. I don't know what happened, but he just felt like his coach just did not back him and push him like Santa Clara did with whoever won that particular year, Conference Player of the Year.
But also the way the school, not, I mean, gosh, the guy's playing for his country too. It's like, really? I think staying cool to your school on that is classy. Let's put it that way.
Allegedly, I wasn't there, but allegedly the USF basketball team were at the airport for a connecting flight. It might have been Chicago. Anyway, they ran into Bill Russell, so they go up to him, but he was kind of aloof toward him. I mean, he just, I think it was an exchange where you guys headed. Oh, we're headed here for this tournament, whatever. And Russell said, "Oh, well, good luck to you then," and he walked off.
Wow. That's too bad. Changing to football, Deebo Samuels. Hey, I thought he was he wanted to trade. What happened? He ended up.
Oh, well, come on. That's
Come on, Edward. That's
I'm just sorry.
It's all part of the whole game.
That's posturing.
It was on the internet. It has to be true.
You
know what,
delete
Edward?
your.
I don't like how things are going here. I think I'm going to request a trade from the show.
And make sure you delete us from your Twitter account.
That's right.
You gotta. That's the big gauntlet throwdown now for you kids of the younger generation. Is that I'll delete you off my social media account. And that'll show you.
Here's what I like, and FP, you'll get a little kick out of this one. He and DK Metcalf have the same agent, and DK Metcalf, he got all this money, and for what it is, for whatever it is, Debo said, "Well, I want $1 million more," and so he got $1 million more.
Yep.
In his deal.
It's almost childish. It's almost childish, except that you're talking.
No, you're talking that much money, though. Yeah, I mean, pretty good. 3 years, $73.5 million. And the thing is, it's funny. It reminds me.
The thing is, $58.1 million guaranteed.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, it doesn't.
But he earned that money.
Yes, he did.
He kind of reminds me of Ohtani in that he's more than just a one-position player.
Wide back.
Yeah,
he's a wide back.
Well, this brings up an interesting thing, and I will touch on this with him next week when I go to camp, because I got to sit down with him and some of the other guys, and I will ask about his utilization in the Shanahan offense, and I know it bothered him to a degree that he wasn't used as a receiver more and was used as more of a running back, because he felt like running backs aren't as valuable in the league as wide receivers. And then Shanahan, look at his pedigree. I mean, Shanahan's the son of a guy who used running backs like Kleenex. He just to throw them in, So,
but who cares about the label?
See how he fits in that scheme. But hey, for $73.5 million, whatever you run the play, coach. Whatever you want.
Exactly. Who cares about the label of whether you're called a running back or whether you're called a wide receiver? The guy is a player. That's the key thing about.
Well, it depends on the play. I mean, that's what's going to be important. Go ahead, FB.
So, guys, just think about this. If I'm the product, right, and I'm my future and I'm my income, I want to last as long as I possibly can in this league to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
I have agents in my ear all day. I have family members in my ear all day saying, man, you're taking shots.
Yeah.
You're taking shots when you're running back, when you're setting these blocks, yada, yada, yada. This offense is going to shorten your career, man. You got to go somewhere else. Just because you're not going to make as much money, your health, your long-term health, it's going to be shot. Like you shouldn't put up with this. And I think that was kind of getting in his head a little bit. And I think that's the reason why it's a 3-year deal. Because 3 years in this offense, that's going to take a toll on his body. And then maybe he goes somewhere else and just becomes a wide receiver. But logically speaking, right, I got all these people in my ear. I'm thinking that's what was kind of happening with Debo too. Because if you think about running backs in this league, I think they average like 3-4 years.
Yeah. Well, he's got to know that. I mean, he's been hit as a running back, and he knows it's like being a receiver. So it's not just in his ear. He's going, I've experienced this.
Yeah. Like
plus, in a sport where you only have a finite amount of time to play this game at a high level, you want to be respected.
Yeah.
And he got respected.
And you want to get the ball. I mean, that's the key thing. If you're an offensive player like Debo, the main thing is you want to get the ball, whether it's a handoff or whether somebody's throwing it to you. You can't get the stats you want unless somebody gets you the ball.
I don't know
I would expect him to be targeted double-digit times a game for that kind of money.
Yeah. And Ayuk's got a lot of talent, and Kittle has a lot of talent. I think offensively, the Niners are poised to do a lot if Trey Lance is up to the job. Although Jimmy Garoppolo is still there, and he's like the boyfriend that you broke up with and is still, hanging out on the couch. You're like,
yeah.
All right, so are you going to go find yourself another girlfriend? And
that's exactly.
That's a good analogy.
That's a great analogy. Yep.
Yeah, he just won't leave, and he won't go, and we can't find anyone we're calling friends up and saying, do you have a date for him? Do you have somebody that maybe can ask him out? And it's kind of embarrassing that the Niners have got themselves in this situation. Do you think he's going to wind up being our backup quarterback
But is it really the 49ers' fault? I mean, come on. He's the one that chose the surgery. If he hadn't had the surgery, he would have been traded by now. But he elected to have it
before the surgery. They had a chance to trade him before he had his surgery, and they didn't. They overplayed their hand. They thought they would get more for Garoppolo, like a second-round pick, and after you think that somebody's worth that much, and he isn't worth that much, you got to change your valuation. And then as soon as he got surgery, his value went down to zero.
Well, he had the surgery in March. The season was over in February, so that would have given the Niners a month to trade him.
You gotta make that move.
I think that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's funny because his stats from a team standpoint are good, but it's just every time he touches the ball, though, it makes me nervous. Okay, you ready for our last?
He won 70% of the game.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
But he was the 11th rated quarterback in quarterback rating. We can do better.
Yeah. All right, you ready? Here's our third trivia question. Bobbing for baseball. I pitched for 9 seasons, mostly with the White Sox. My only career highlight was in 1990. See, hey, Russ, we have a little bit
I'm thinking
more recent.
Okay.
When I won the Rolaids Relief Reward, finishing 5th in the MVP voting and 4th in the Cy Young Award. I also led the league in saves in 1990. Who am I? All right.
White Sox?
The White Sox, career highlight 1990. He also led
with the White Sox?
With the White Sox, yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I think that's the only team that I can really remember him playing for. He may have played for others, but that's the one you'll know him from. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman. Third trivia question. Which pitcher pitched for 9 seasons, it says here mostly with the White Sox, so he must have gotten traded at some point. Only career highlight was in 1990 when he won the Rolaids Relief Reward, finished 5th in the MVP voting and 4th in the Cy Young Award. He also led the league in saves in 1990. Who am I? Now remember, it's bobbing for baseballs. So Bob, Robert, Bobby, whatever.
You see this face? This is my blank stare.
Yeah. The audience can't see it, but I can see it, and that kind of looks like a blank stare. Anyone? Which? Okay, I will give you a hint. It is Bobby. Which Bobby pitched for the White Sox? Bobby Thigpen.
Bobby Thigpen. Wow, I forgot about him.
Forgot about him?
Yeah.
Well, that's because 1990 was his only major thing. Okay, next time, we'll make the questions a little bit easier next time. How's that?
Easier? Hey, I was 2 for 3.
Well, that's true. I'm looking at FP, and I'm looking at, well, Russ, I can't see him because he's on the phone, but there's these stares of, oh, come on, man. No,
I don't think FP was born in 1990.
No,
was he?
So.
No, 1995.
That's okay.
95.
All right, you ready? Okay,
95. That was my 6th year at Cron.
Yeah.
You got some years.
I was already married by then. Okay. You ready here? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was married and I had a kid. Okay. Thoughts for the day. Why should you never marry a tennis player? Not only do they make a lot of racket, but love means nothing to them. Yeah, that's pretty good, huh? Okay. And my neighbors listen to good music, whether they like it or not. All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. Of course, I listen to good music. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.